I want to talk about something. Here's the bottom line. I think y'all are being used. And I want to share with you a little bit of a story that happened to me recently, which is what got me to this place where frankly, I think we're all being used. And what I'm talking about specifically is social media. So this was a week or two ago. I was reaching out to some of my mentors and people I follow. And understand, remember, we've talked about this before. Most of the people that I'm following in today's world don't even know my name. And that's totally okay. But I was having that moment where I was feeling like they needed to hear from somebody new that they were appreciated. And so I was reaching out to some people, and I was just simply saying, hey, you don't know me, but I really appreciate your podcast. You don't know me, but I really love your YouTube channel. You don't know me, but keep up the good work on Instagram. You know what I'm talking about? And it was crazy to me that almost all of them had exactly the same response. Number one, they didn't respond right away. Number two, they all came back and said, hey, listen, I'm really sorry I didn't respond quicker. I only check social media once per day. What? What are you talking about, right? That makes no sense. So I followed up with one of them that I actually had a relationship with, and I said, hey, dude, you got to tell me more, because all we're hearing, all of the agents are being told is speed the lead, got to be all over it, got to be on it. So what's up with this idea that I only check social media once per day? So here was the consensus that I got from them, that most of the people, there's a difference between straight lead generation and nurturing and engagement. Okay, so that was the primary difference if I really think it through. And what I was being told was, hey, listen, too many of us are being used by social media. We're not using social media. So if you are one of those people, right, that feels like you're being sucked into the vortex, I wrote down some things that you might want to be looking for, right? So here you go. How to know if you're being used by social media instead of using social media to grow your business. If you find yourself, the number one, if you find yourself scrolling, you've been used. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about I'm looking for something specific. I'm talking about you've got a cramp or maybe a callus on your thumb. That's what I'm talking about, right? If you find yourself sort of free sharing political or funny or whatever messages that you've been scrolling through without intention, you have been used. If you find yourself engaging in commentary on posts that have absolutely nothing to do with your local community, nothing to do with lifting other people up, nothing to do with generating business, you've been used. If you find yourself checking your mobile platforms like 53.5 times an hour, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sort of that addictive, do I have my notifications on? You've been used. By the way, a little side note, I am an addictive personality, right? And I know that about myself, like self-awareness. I am an addictive personality. I become obsessive, compulsive. Like once I had to turn my notifications off, but guess what? I did. I just went into the notification thing. I said, no notifications from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those platforms. Now, when I look at my phone, it doesn't have, number one, I don't have the annoying little ding, but I also now, when I look at the little icon, it doesn't have the little red circle with how many notifications there are. It's gone, right? Freeing, okay? Freeing. So I want to dive in just real quickly, just to make sure that you all understand that if you're getting sucked into the vortex, Facebook and all the other social media platforms, listen, they're really smart, okay? They understand that for those of us that are addictive personalities, that you're going to become addicted, okay? They know the sounds and the sights that can trigger your mind. So I want to walk through a little bit about how you can make sure that you get intentional and that you don't get sucked into the vortex. Because I know people who spend literally hours a day. If you look at your screen, if you have an iPhone, if you look at your screen time, okay, and maybe Carrie someday can show us exactly where to find that. But if you look at your screen time, it may be an incredible revelation to you as to how much time you're A, spending on the phone, and B, where you're spending that time. So, when it comes to sort of the organic, there's really two different places, right? You can focus on your organic, and then you can focus on your paid advertising as it pertains to social media to generate business. This is a business conversation. And I think Jason Pantana probably checked the boxes the best of anybody that I heard when it came to straight up organic. So I'm going to kind of go through that with you, what that best process is. So remember, number one, you're going to want to do this multiple times, but there's 5 key elements that Jason talked about. Number one was authentic, right? You got to make sure that people see who you are, right? If you feel more comfortable wearing a V-neck t-shirt, wear a V-neck t-shirt. Does it make sense? If you feel more comfortable with a suit and tie, then wear the suit and tie. Don't try to be somebody that you're not for the sake of somebody else. Authentic. Number 2, hyper local, right? So these are the types of posts. So just to clarify, so 1, they got to know you. 2, you got to have something that's super hyper local about your marketplace. Number 3, knowledge, broker knowledge. How are you going to convey in your post that you actually know what you're talking about? Broker knowledge, number 3. Number 4 is I'm a problem solver, right? I think how Jason described that was, hey, folks, listen, I just got off the phone with Teresa. She's a great client of mine. She was talking to me about blah, blah. And I just wanted to walk you through. I thought maybe, there's probably a lot of people that have this same concern. Here's how we solved it. Right? Makes sense. I was talking to Kaylee about her closing. It was a really challenging closing. That'll shock everybody, right? Your first closing being hard. But it was a challenging closing, and what a great opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I'm really, really stoked that I got this person their home. It was not easy, and we had a bunch of hurdles, but we jumped them, right? And again, I'm a problem solver. And then number 5, social proof. Social proof is having somebody else tell your story. If you, in the absence of having somebody else tell your story, again, don't wait for them, is simply telling a story about how excited you are for somebody. Okay, so the Johnsons were really stoked. I got them 5% over what they thought they were going to get. That kind of thing. Social proof. You're telling a story that somebody else is acknowledging that you did something good. Here's the thing: 1 to 3 posts a day. Now, wait a minute, Todd. These people that you were just communicating with told you they only check social media once a day. How in the heck can you do that? Well, you do it because there's this really awesome scheduling feature if you're using Facebook. But there are products out there that you can schedule posts out far in advance. So the people that I coach, when we get into social media, I'm telling them, hey, listen, let's carve out a half an hour a day where all you're doing is scheduling out posts. Those people who like to chunk out their day, and those people that have been through time blocking with me know exactly what I'm talking about. Then you can literally schedule out for the entire week. Thankfully, Carrie has made all this content available to us so that I can do that in advance, right? So you've got the folders and that kind of stuff. So, and then you've got to have that one time a day that you are checking your private messages, you're checking your social media, and you're responding. It is important that you respond. We know that. But we're talking about organic here. We're not talking about straight lead generation. And you are a professional and you have a limited amount of time. Anybody that watched my Instagram live this morning knows little chunks of time go a long, long, long way. And the difference oftentimes between having a successful relationship and an unsuccessful relationship, or having great health and vitality and not having great health and vitality, simply by what you do with the time that you're allocated to. Right? So if you want to stop being used, start controlling the power of social media, schedule it, understand the specific tasks, and then be distinctive. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.